Okay, Chancellor Harris would like to introduce the next.
Thank you. I will turn this over to Vice Chancellor Don Quinlivan, who, as I mentioned earlier, is just home from a quick jaunt to the East Coast, and maybe she'll give us a little update on that as she goes into this next item. Vaughn?
Thank you very much, Chancellor Harris. Good morning, President Baca and members of the board. I'll say hello to Vice President Baum when he gets back in. Yes, thank you very much for the call out. I have a little bit of material I wanted to share from yesterday's event in DC. It was a nice, a lovely event and a nice honor. And as you can see from Patrick Perry and Eric Skinner's presentation, there's a lot of good things coming out of our system. So it really is a collective recognition. Yesterday's event was hosted by Valerie Jarrett, who is special advisor to President Obama and his good friend, as well as the chief of staff to Michelle Obama, Tina Chen. And I brought back for us all President Obama's proclamation declaring this month the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. What's so interesting about it is I've been a big supporter of President Obama's community college work, but I've actually never seen his signature. So I'll pass this around for fun. I was also able to meet with Congressman Lowenthal before the event, and he is now going to serve on the Natural Resources Committee, and he was looking for ways to support education and workforce in that capacity. And I shared with him Chancellor Harris's Memorandum of Understanding with the USDA. So the USDA is a line item under the Natural Resources Committee. So I shared with him the reason why we had signed the memorandum with the USDA as part of our jobs and economy strategy. As you remember, they had a lot of capital for the rural areas, and rural areas often lack large job creation engines, so we needed to create businesses, and coupling our training and facilities with their financing was a good strategy. So I committed to forwarding him the press release on that, as that could be a model for his work with the USDA and the Natural Resources Committee. So it was a busy trip. So today, what I wanted to share with you is actually a great Patrick Perry's presentation was actually a great leaping point to what I'll be sharing with you today, which is a visualization of some of the field support structure enabled through the braiding of resources. So this is, as you remember, is all part of the administrative fixes we're putting in for the Doing What Matters for Jobs and Economy framework, which again is targeting investments at sectors important to regions and then providing technical assistance for them to achieve their goals. So knowing that Patrick was going to be very numerical and data intense in his presentation, I will instead go for large visuals. So if you can imagine, so this is a college, right? So this is the visual for the graphic for a college. And so now that with the scorecard coming out, the focus on completion, and with the wage tracker coming out with a focus on wages and salary, colleges are likely to ask the question, how am I going to improve my partnership with industry? Because when we're aligned with industry in partnership, students complete better, as well as you have better outcomes with regards to wages. So how do we support colleges in this quest, given that these are going to be some of the questions that they're going to be asking themselves? So what they're searching for are partnerships with industry. Now, industry also has its conundrum. Industry often has the behavior where they go to the nearest college when they have a need. They assume that all colleges may have similar abilities or interests, and if they're lucky, a college is a good match between the employer's interests and their own self-interest. However, there are also times when the college may not have a good match of the interests and programming with what the employer wants. And so what the employer happens is the employer gets discouraged, not knowing that there's a tremendous amount of capacity in the rest of our system. So here's an example of the 26 colleges of the Bay Area. So you have employers wanting to do programming in the allied health industry, and there's actually 26 community colleges with capacity. Now, how does an employer figure out which one to work with, or which constellation of colleges in the Bay Area to work with on a set of programming? So that's part of the navigational issues that is presented to industry when we're trying to figure out how to make it simpler, how to give first contacts for industry to work with when they're trying to work with us. And then if you take a look at an organization like the California Hospital Association, which operates statewide, from the outside, they know we're part of the solution, but they're not exactly sure where to get started and which of our 112 to work with. So that's really the conundrum in terms of partnership. Sometimes it works, and there's a lot of local partnerships that work. And what we're looking to do in this braided structure is to add some navigation tools for industry to work with us, as well as for us to work with industry. So I'd like to introduce to you what you've been approving in these consent agenda items, and you'll see more of the RFA results in future board items. So first, I'd like to introduce you to the visual icons, right? So here we have the green circle, which is a college, and the college has tremendous expertise at the local level. Here's the state, so you know us, we operate statewide. What we're doing is, with no new dollars, we're just having more intentional integration of some of these other grantees to fill out the following roles. Operating at the multi-regional level, we'll have sector navigators and technical assistance providers. And operating within a region are regional consortia chairs, vice chairs, and deputy sector navigators. So I'm gonna build out each of these, but I wanted to introduce you the icon and the navigation structure, that there's investments at the local level, at the regional level, at the multi-region, and then we have the Chancellor's Office operating at statewide level. So here we are. So if you take a look at the analogy being your healthcare provider, if you're not exactly sure where to go or what it is that you need, go to the generalist, right? The generalist is sort of the first contact for you. So if the employer or the industry is does not know how to navigate our system, they can go to the generalist. So generalist includes, at the statewide level, the community college chancellor's office. Within all of the economic regions, now we are repurposing and having regional consortia chairs to also be generalists, whose knowledge is to navigate a region. But if you know that you have a special need, then go to the specialist, right? So a specialist, for example, you need to have labor market research. So now we're putting out technical assistance providers on labor market research, one for each of the geographies. And those will be the specialists in that area of expertise. So there's specialists, technical assistance providers. There's specialists who are sectors specific. So sector navigators operate multi-region. And there are the specialists who work within a region called deputy sector navigators. So let me see if I can pull it all together to work here. So if you're an employer in the advanced manufacturing and would like to address workforce issues, you have many options. You can go to the local level, if you know where to go. You can go to the system office And what we would do at the state level is refer you to the sector navigator who can help you navigate where's the best match based on your need. And then who lives with you would be the in-region deputy sector navigator, who's really working on the ground within the region to help the colleges with curricular pathways and sequencing, and all sorts of work that needs to take place in order to have the pathways be aligned. From a college, this structure is also intended to help provide additional, more targeted resources for colleges. So if you're a college, you have now your, if you take a look at the bottom row, you can always, if you don't have a specialized question, you can always go to your regional consortia chair, who's your generalist. Or if you're going to be working in one of the 5 sectors that is chosen by your geography, you'll have deputy sector navigators in region who will be conversant on the assets and resources within your region and can help you plug into that network. And if that network doesn't suffice, you can always go to the multi-region level or the state level. So what we're doing is trying to take advantage of investments and just make sure that there's enough expertise to support the field as they work to execute and improve student success. And in terms of cross-coordination, all these levels of grantees will come together as an extended operations team, and we will continuously talk about what does it take to promote student success and troubleshoot issues for the field. So these are the structures that are being pulled together in an integrated way in support of the field, thanks to your support. So that was what I wanted to share with you, to introduce some of the names and phrases that you may hear over time, as some of these are new phraseologies developed to talk about what the functions are of the new structure.
Thank you. Any questions? Vice President Bone?
First, thanks for the presentation. I also have to extend a personal thanks to Vice Chancellor because there was a public-private group that was meeting in Los Angeles called the Southern California Leadership Council a couple of weeks ago, and they have taken on workforce training and partnerships as a key priority of them. And this wasn't any civic group. It was a group of 20 people, 3 of which were 3 former governors, Governor Davis, Governor Wilson, and Governor Deukmejian, and then the heads of San Diego Gas and Electric, Southern California Edison, the Newhall Land Company, and so I called in a panic because I didn't realize the caliber of the group I was invited to meet with, and I called Vice Chancellor Van to get the information so I was better prepared. The thing that and I was able to share some key information that made an impact. And they also had the Vice President of the UC Board of Regents and the Vice President of the Cal State Board of Trustees. And more than half the questions still came back to really the community colleges are the place that we should first partner with to solve our workforce development needs. And the UCs and the CSUs have a role, but they saw their more immediate needs served by community college workforce training. But then the head of the San Diego ports said something saying like, I've got this program that I need workers, and if they train, they're going to get training. They're going to make $60,000 to $80,000 a year, and it can change a whole family and a whole community if somebody could get the training. And I can't find a partner to get the training done. So I have really said, have you met Constance Carroll, the Chancellor of the San Diego Community College District? He says he thinks he knows her. I've subsequently connected him with Constance Carroll, who jumped on it immediately and reached out and said what we could do. But what I worry sometimes is we've developed this structure, but does it parallel the business community's need for that? Because they may understand this, but how does it tailor, how does it help, how do they navigate it in the same way? Are we working with the chambers and the other business industry groups to help plug them into our system, because sometimes it's like a student in counseling. They may know, they may be on the web, everything they should do to register for a class, but they actually may need a real body who's going to sit down with them and say, what are your needs, and have that personal contact. And do we have the staffing able to reach out and touch individual business men and women to tailor those programs that meet their needs? Because my sense was some of them said, well, we tried it with our community college, but it all got bollocksed up in the bureaucracy, and I did that already. Why, you know, and their experience might not have been as effective as they would have liked it to be in the past. So then it closed their minds to trying to doing it again. So.
Right. Yes, so it's wonderful that you were able to connect the port with Constance Carroll. And recently I was in the San Diego Chamber of Commerce. They invited me to come down as part of their workforce conference. And what I did was I brought the regional consortia chair for now San Diego and introduced her as a point person for if any of you have issues where you are not sure how to work with the community college or which college to work with, start with Mary Wiley, and then she'll navigate our own system to figure out who the set of partnerships could be. And so it's set up so that we actually have some follow through, because as you know, the bandwidth of the Chancellor's office is very limited. We actually need people on the ground, having those meetings and tying people together. So if it's more of a general, like a Chamber of Commerce, then a Mary Wiley can come in and be introduced. If it's advanced manufacturing specific, then I bring in Jose Anaya, who's a sector navigator, and then he lives with that relationship and moves the relationship through, to the right colleges and the set of faculty that needs to work with that particular employer. And in addition, the employers really want to work with somebody who is conversant in their language. So the moment we actually know what the sector is or the specialty of the employer, the faster we can get the specialist in, the better for that relationship, instead of just speaking in general terms. So that's why we need all these on the ground as an extension of how we operate in this fairly complex geography. We want to make sure that there's people who can follow through on those partnerships.
Right, because that's I want somebody then to take it, and so Chancellor Carroll responded. Then I saw the email back saying, okay, I'll turn this over to my HR people and let them know that you're available. But then my fear is then it's just going to die there, because it's everybody's feels tight, stretched and all that too. And my hope is, would we have somebody on the ground to follow up more directly and more assertively? It's almost like a sales and marketing push, so that we make sure that they all know when they have workforce training need, that the community colleges are eager to help them meet that need, as opposed to a commercial education provider or one of the others too.
Well, the fortunate thing about Constance's district, she has a large district, so she has a lot of resources to bring to bear. If you imagine maybe a smaller college being introduced to that employer, and let's say it's not a good fit between that employer and that college, we would have a better chance of meeting that employer's need if we actually figured out who within the region has capacity and interest to get married in that relationship. And that's what we've heard from the CTE deans, that as a single college, you may not have the exact portfolio that's needed by that particular employer, but if the collective portfolio is brought to bear, then we have a better chance of having a better a fit with the industry or that employer's need.
Any other comments? Member Ross?
Yes, I think Keitha Mills is still in the house, correct? Yes, there she is. I'm going to refer to some past knowledge about the foundation's work. If I'm not mistaken, the foundation takes real leadership in periodically convening vendors with college foundation representatives to talk about ways that we can actually connect some of these dots. And I wonder, and I apologize for my absence of knowledge in asking the question, but have we done regional convenings that enable some of these stakeholders to come together and actually develop dialogue, relationships, and deals that effectively could benefit employers and the system? And if not, is that something that perhaps in partnership with the foundation, we should be seeking support to do in some targeted way over the next 18, 24 months? Is that something that could be helpful? Or in your judgment, is that something that would perhaps not be as productive as I'm intuiting?
In terms of regional convenings, actually, we're leveraging the momentum of the California Forward movement, who has about 24 regional convenings that are happening between now and October, leading up to a statewide economic summit. So all these economies actually are coming together, and we're plugging in, again, our folks into these discussions so that we're at the table and have a good feel for what's going on as the economic strategies of those regions. But I think your idea, which is specific to vendor, is a good one. So once we have a good feel for what regions care about and what solutions they need, yes, definitely, all solutions are good.
Any other comments?
My last hope is too, now that you've got this infrastructure in place to be able to be more responsive up and down the state, I'll look forward to hearing some anecdotal examples of, in Long Beach, we were able to pair this employer with this training program, and that resulted in this many jobs or whatever we can do. That would be great.
Yes.
You know, unlike our general education delivery, CTE is diverse throughout the state. Okay. Thank you for clarifying the relationships. I think it's very critical to understand that in this area, it's very important to work collectively in consortiums to be able to generate the response to communities. You know, as we go around the state, we do see the diversity of programs and efforts that are going on. I'd like to be able to see us link veterans especially to some of those varied programs throughout the state in a way that actually maybe links in many, many cases their experience in the military with those programs that might be available throughout the state. They may be mobile, they may not, but that's a choice they make. At least having them understand what the opportunities are, I think, is very important. Thank you for the work, and again,
Definitely.
congratulations on your honor.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, and now we'll move on to the last item, board reports. And I think we'll start this morning with Member Storm.
Thank you, President Baca. I don't know, I think I'm your favorite to always start board reports with.
You set the
I set the tone, okay. Let's see. I've been kind of busy since the last board meeting. Actually, I've been spending most of my time trying to understand the changes that are taking place with the SSCCC and the impact that these changes are going to have on shared governance, particularly with the adoption of their strategic plan, which gives more emphasis on advocacy, and also with the introduction of AB 1358. So I did make an appointment with Assemblymember Fong's office, and I met with them to try to understand the intent of him introducing this piece of legislation and trying to see the effect on shared governance, because I feel it's very important that we continue, or that the students continue to participate in the shared governance process and make it their emphasis in their work. I was also fortunate to participate in the community college's Diversity in Law Conference that was held at Chabot College. It was an excellent informational conference that gave students lots of information on how to get from the community college level into law school. And actually, it was personally enriching for me, you know, as I continue my educational journey and deciding if law is something that I would like to go into. I was also fortunate to be able to participate with the California Student Aid Commission meeting. We were invited, Member Yang and myself were invited to make a presentation on the Board of Governors, just to try to give them some information and some background on us and our role as student members. And I really, really would like to say thank you to the Chancellor's office and the staff for all the assistance that they gave me last minute to help me prepare for that presentation and be able to present myself accurately, you know, as a member of the board. So thank you, Vice Chancellor Michalowski, for all your help, and the others, in Jerry especially, but others that came to my aid during that time. I'd also like to say how happy I am with the implementation of the Student Success Initiative. It is just amazing what's coming out of it. There was a lot of pushback from the students. In my very first meeting, the vote was on whether or not we were going to accept the recommendations. And I've been for it from the beginning. And it's just, it just solidifies my point that it was a good thing and that we should support it, because what's coming out for the students is just amazing. It completely builds my faith in the community college system, and solidifies that I made the right choice with coming back into California community colleges to start my journey over again. So I really appreciate the work that we're doing. So thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Member Storm. Member Sumi?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say that it was a great pleasure to serve on the committee that chose the Classified Employees of the Year. And you know, it's always terrific to serve under the leadership of Member Hawkins, who did a fantastic job leading our group of evaluators. And I want to, you know, do a shout out to Jerry, who did, you know, the great staff work as usual, getting us all the applications. And we had a really, you know, great meeting in terms of choosing these terrific honorees that we had today. So that's always one of the highlights of my year. And Member Storm talked about deciding whether to choose whether to become an attorney or not. You know, being a recovering attorney myself, actually, Member Yang had invited me to give a speech at her chapter of Phi Alpha Delta, which is the pre-law and law fraternity over at Sac State. So I was able to give them my point of view, and you can ask me about that later. And but also to talk about my duties here as a member of the Board of Governors. So that was a very enlightening exchange with the students. So I really enjoyed that a lot. And even though she's not here, thank Member Yang for inviting me. Member Reed and I attended the Board of Directors meeting for the foundation at Chancellor Harris's old working place, Fresno City College. And it was the first time I've ever been to Fresno City College, and it's a beautiful, beautiful campus. And so I'm sure it was hard to tear yourself away from there when you left, but it's a great place, and I thought that the foundation board did a really good job in following up on a lot of important business for the foundation. And again, kudos to the leadership of the foundation for all the good work they do. And finally, I want to thank President Baca for co-signing a letter with me for a event at Santa Rosa Junior College. My other hat that I wear is I'm president of the U.S. Army Advisory Board for Northern California, and the Army held a education symposium at Santa Rosa Junior College to get information out to counselors and others about opportunities in the armed services. And the letter that President Baca and I signed encouraged local counselors to come to that. And it was a very successful event. And because of that success, the Army is going to do a follow-up event in Chico. And President Baca has graciously agreed to co-sign a letter with me for that event as well. So I appreciate that very much and look forward to moderating that event as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, members. Member Ramos?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple quick things. I too had an opportunity to visit Santa Rosa Junior College, which is a jewel in our system, quite a beautiful campus. I was invited by the current sitting student body president there, Jessica Jones, quite an impressive young woman. Great future ahead of her, I'm sure. And she convened a student conference on sustainability that was attended by the superintendent and president, Frank Chung. I had an opportunity to engage with him, and also Tony Iden, who's one of the facilities leaders in our system. A great event, well attended, and also that coincided with a meeting of our partnership with the investor-owned utility companies on site. So that was a twofer and just a great opportunity to learn about the leadership that's happening in places like Santa Rosa Junior College. Finally, through some allied work that I've been doing with the Sims Mann Institute, I've been able to direct some private attention, philanthropic attention, to Santa Barbara City College and also to Santa Monica College, which are two pilot sites that the Sims Mann Institute is going to be targeting resources into to train early child care professionals to coordinate their efforts more effectively, to be more informed about allied strategies that work on the growing research body that shows that the first 3 years of a child's development are very pivotal and instrumental, even defining in terms of learning capabilities going forward. And my great hope and expectation is that the Sims Mann Foundation, which supports the Institute, will be partnering with other colleges in our system going forward to support more of that work and hopefully bringing other philanthropic leaders into that mix. I think it's a promising potential area of added concentration. So with that, I conclude my remarks. Thank you.
Member Hawkins?
Thank you, President Baca. As Member Izumi said, I had the privilege of chairing the review process for the Classified Community College Award group this year. Joining us were Jill Schofield, the Executive Director of External Affairs for our foundation, Adria Sanders from the Personnel Department in the Chancellor's Office, Member Izumi, and myself. Again, it always is I like what Lan said, it's the highlight of my year. I think that was wonderful. I approached Chancellor Harris, maybe his second week on the job, and suggested that we should have a reception for the honorees. And I really need to thank him and then Injiri Griffin for pulling off this morning's breakfast reception. It was very well received and truly meant something to all the recipients and myself. So thank you all, and have a safe journey home.
Thank you. Member Delansky?
I had the opportunity to attend the spring plenary session of the Academic Center for California Community Colleges that was held in the middle of April. The theme of the conference was Rising to the Challenge, Responding to Disruptive Forces. And it was really well done. Just to say some of the breakout sessions or general sessions, because they're the kind of things we talk about. There was a session on adult ed, how to use program review in your planning, how to do student education plans and what they really mean. Several breakouts on the disciplines list and MQs and minimum qualifications, and there will be, as we know, then some resolutions coming forward here about adding, revising minimum qualifications. A couple of sessions on CID and the TMCs, and Vice Chancellor Russell and some members of his team were there. Student Success Program, MOOCs, the scorecard. And as I talk about the spring plenary, I do want to just publicly say thank you to Dr. Michelle Pilati for all the years that she has given, worked, multiple hours for the Academic Senate of California Community Colleges as we welcome Beth as the new president July 1st. I also had the time and good fortune to go to the Asian Pacific Americans in Higher Education Conference, which was held in San Francisco. The theme there was Our Lives, Our Stories, and Our Future, and it was incredible, the kinds of things that were presented to over 400 people that came. Some of the sessions were held at the Chinatown Center for City College of San Francisco. They did things on focusing on leadership, breakouts on the DREAM Act, advancing student success, student services success. There was a round table of student leaders, which was amazing. We had a session with our Vice Chancellor Vaughn, and she talked about her story, her professional story, and that kind of thing, and numerous ones were given, I think is really important. So I'm glad that I was able to go to both of those events.
Thank you. Member Reed?
Yes, I had an opportunity to academics officers of the community colleges here in Sacramento, and I appreciate it. Thank you for that. That's my report.
Thank you. Vice President Baum?
Sure, thank you. First off, I also want to extend my appreciation to Vice Chancellor Curtis, Mike McGee, and others for the reception last night. I thought it was a wonderful celebration of our relationship with members of the legislature, an opportunity to recognize the governor, and I see that there's already a release out that indicates the honor that we shared with the governor, and I was glad to be able to participate in that. We were doing that. On Friday night, I was at the commencement for Pasadena City College, and our commencement speaker was our controller, John Chung, and gave an inspiring message to our graduates. And it's always the best time of year at any college campus is to be able to see the culmination of everything that you've actually worked for throughout the semester. Finally, there's a movie out that I encourage everybody to see. It's about one of California's most important community college alumni. It's 42, the movie about Jackie Robinson. And we in Pasadena hosted a Southern California premiere of that film with Del Robinson, his sister-in-law, and also the members of the Pasadena City College baseball team. And it's not part of the movie, but it was in the coverage that what propelled Jackie Robinson in his career was that first off, he's a remarkable individual. He also was able to start his post-high school career at a junior college where he was playing intercollegiate sports with teammates of all races. And during the film, it talks about why he was the one that Branch Rickey saw would be able to be successful and handle the challenges of going on. And part of it was because of his experience playing with white players and being in a mixed environment, but also having a strong core personal belief. And so it's a wonderfully inspiring movie, and it makes you feel special that you're part of a system that brings people up and has had, like Jackie Robinson, to be a beacon of inspiration for generations to come. And it was important we brought our 19 and 18-year-old baseball players in to see that movie, and because believe it or not all the 18 and 19-year-olds today really know who Jackie Robinson is and what he had to overcome. And so it's something that is a celebration that we can all share.
Very true, thank you. Let me just mention a couple of things before we close. I did attend the spring plenary as well, and I attended some of the workshops, but I did sit in through presentations by those who are competing for office of the statewide academic senate, and there were about 20-some or so. And to listen to 20 or some political speeches sometimes, just knocks you down. But in this case, I have to say, I found it very informative. I think the college faculty in this state is really outstanding. I think each and every one of those individuals did a great job of presenting their case and the issues that we confront in the system. It was thoroughly enjoyable. Jack Scott is the commencement speaker at Mount Sac, I'm happy to say. And so I'll be seeing, I saw him over the weekend, and sends his regards. Look forward to having him as a commencement speaker as well. And just want to announce that the BET Summit this year will be held at Newport Beach Marriott, the first Thursday, Friday of December, so really looking forward to that. Thank you, Vice Chancellor Michalowski and team for the work there. And with that, meeting is adjourned.
Lunch is.
So Jerry,